So everything we do here, folks, please, and we want to clearly declare that no responsibility disclaimer, and just because it is for your protection, not so much of us, we do learn, and the news, the talk we put out, some of them outdated with the changes of tax regulations or the government regulations, and it does expire. And even if there's interpretations that we have different from what or what other internet providers saying, and know that you take that with grain of salt, and it is really your responsibility, not people who are here providing free services. So now let's get to it. And we want to talk about compete in bids, okay? And that competition piece, it is not only price sensitive, it is also psychological driven. And it is not about what you bid. It's a lot of it. It is really about how you focus, how you grow your business. I always, in this next hour or less, I want to focus on our small business. I am talking about small businesses like yours, like mine, like those ones. When we think of a government, we only know how to spell it. We didn't know what they mean. Government contract, what does that mean? That is new to us, and we never really got into one. We want to understand. So let's just talk that in the very specific manner for small businesses. Every small business experienced bid for jobs, and of course you do. I'm not talking about the government one, right? And then you come to you go on the neighborhood party, and the neighborhood lady come around and said to you that my kitchen need to be renovated. I heard that you are a contractor. Do you think you can give me a price for my kitchen? That's a RFP, request for proposal. So that is your opportunity for bid, right? Or if you are a marketing company and someone just walk up to you, goes, oh, I want to get my website redone, and can you give me a price for that? Or someone coming to do taxes with us and saying that, well, I just have a 1 W-2, can you give me a price for that? Those are requests for proposal. Of course, in our small business owner's mind, we don't always think about 50 pages long articles we're writing, right? It is a word we're saying. So if you come for a W-2 tax return, and we will tell you that, oh yeah, and if it is just W-2, and maybe you can even get it filed for free, and we can give you the resources, you can get that done. So we give you a bid for zero. Right? And if the lady wants the kitchen, and you just finished the kitchen, but in your mind as a small business owners, and what we are thinking is, the next question is, we want to know what that person wants, because the kitchen can be very different between what we can give to her as a bid based on what she wants. So we experience bid every day, all the time. And every small business have lost the job simply because two big reasons, okay? The bid price was higher than the lowest one. So you're gonna call, hey, how is my bid going? And did I got the job? No, I'm sorry to tell you that you didn't, because we got other people bid lower than you, so we took the other person. So often, right? That's almost the easiest way for the person who produced the RFP to kick you out, just because you bid too high. So that's a reason to lose the bid. The other reason to lose the bid is that you did bid really low, but you don't demonstrate the ability to get it done. So they don't believe in you. And have I been told about that? Yes. As of today, I'm still being told about that. And there are times I put in the bid for a audit job, okay? But I don't have the experience for that specific audit, and I will, I put in the bid, and I could easily be told, you don't have the experience, your price is okay, but you don't have the experience, so we don't give you the bid. And it is nothing to, I wouldn't say it is not fair. I think it's fair. Okay. It is true. When we don't have experience, people don't have confidence in us. But how do you break that? How do you make a leap of faith? Someone along the way will take that leap of faith for you. And so I don't want you to think that if I don't have experience, I will never do something. That would be a failing point for a small business. I remember so clear, so many years ago, and this is in the very beginning of my career, and I handled a tax return with 13 states. Like this business has like 13 states. There's a one state return, and I wasn't familiar. So I filed it wrong. Okay. So I was calling the government. I was calling, it's a state of Kansas. So I was calling the state of Kansas revenue department and tell them that I did that wrong. I want to change it. So the person who are on the phone told me that if you don't know how to do it, why are you doing it? You should not be doing that job. So I actually thought they were right. But then I also, after I finished this work and I hung up the phone, and I said to myself that if I would never try, if I would never niche myself forward, I would not be here today. I would not even know where I would end up, because I would never try anything new, right? So in your business, there's so many times people will tell you that if you never done that, why do you even do it? So you want to be confident that there will be someone have that leap of faith for you and would allow you to do it. I say that is because I want to make a point later. I don't want us to hide what we don't know. Okay, as a small business, when you bid, there's no need to hide what you don't know. And every small business are looking for magic formulas to win the bid, right? You want to calculate it, then you got this magic formula, you're always doing it right, you're always the lowest price, you're looking for that. And today we'll explore that magic formula. Okay, how to bid. And we'll focus on following industries. It's not industry, but I'm going to pick the 3 areas. Number 1 is construction, number 2, service, number 3, government contract. All right, so construction. Small construction company can win the bid. These are the summary point that we learn from our clients. And we actually help our clients to bid on jobs. So there, we particularly, we have a construction company who builds a lot of franchise business buildings a lot in the whole country. So they're everywhere in every state. So when they do the bid, when they work the bid, and we would assist them on the budget side, so we understand when they do bid what they do. So I will summarize this for you. Number 1, you bid first. So when you know a construction RFP is there for you to put in your price, try to be the number 1. Don't try to be the last. I know your thought. I know you are thinking that, well, I want to be the last because I want to call them, figure out what is the lowest bid so I can just lower my number, or make my number just a little bit lower so I get it. That's not the way to go, because you should not even care what other put in the bid. You should just look for your magic formula, not about other people's bid. Okay, so don't chase every job either. And know that the job, how long would take. So sometimes you can't do every job. So understand the ability. And I'll tell you, when you talk to the government, when they work on the bid with you, you know what they are worried about the most? It is not the money they pay you. You bid too high, they pay you more. It's not even that. It is you not able to finish your job. There's a lot of government job, small business bid on it, then in the end they cannot finish, and they couldn't scale their business fast enough to meet the demand of the government contract. So Try to understand your ability, understand your distribution of labor and time, and don't chase every job. That's important. And if you ask me, oh, Ying, you just buffalo this because, did you ever not chase every job? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have developed work and I know, I developed a line of business I want to do and I run it for 3 years. Don't make it. And I don't chase that job anymore. And I end it. And is that painful? Of course, because I gone through 3 years to develop it and it is giving up, right? So don't chase every job. That's a golden ticket for you to win the bid you want to win. And identify the decision makers in this process and build trust. And normally a construction job is local, normally, okay? And when you have that local connections and you can build the local trust, and that is important. When you are a bigger company, the trust can be built virtually and by your reputation. But when you're small, there's no better way to build trust by you shake hands and by you appear in the community. So that's how you do it. Then highlight your qualification and deliver value. As small, we have something special. And because we are small, so the person who is ultimately responsible is the owner. And why aren't you highlight that? So there's some big construction companies, you never meet the owner, the people who does the work. And if I'm the customer, I don't even know who owns the company, right? But small business, you deal. If you are my customer, you deal with the owner every time you need me. So this is my cell phone number, and I am personally responsible for this project. You don't work with anybody in between, you work with me. So that's a good selling point. And delivering value. You are small, so you move fast. That is why large companies, when they grow to a certain size, and they're slower. And because you are small, you can be swift, really fast to do things, right? That's your value. And do your homework, break down your bid, and explain your return of investment. Why do I say that? This is the homework you have to do. You can't be looking at the other people's bid, goes, I just gonna bid, $5,000 lower than that one. No, that's not how you do it. You need to do your own calculation, your own return on investment. And embrace technology. And in construction, technology is so important. When I say technology, I'm thinking of those advanced tools, things that can be done a lot easier. The accuracy of measures and all of these, things that coming into play. Sometimes it used to be a labor intensive process. Now it's replaced by more machines and the productivity is much more robust. So you want to be able to do that. And a small business, you know what? You can do it because you don't have to buy that technology. You don't have to buy that equipment. You can lease it. You can rent it. And there are those kind of companies online. Rent a tool, right? And I even have a client who have the online resources for all of these tools you need in the construction. So those are the things the construction company, small construction company, and we want to say that you must have those values in mind. Then when you have that, and those are digital platform out there for people to do bidding more professionally and systematically. Large companies definitely use it. Two of the most popular ones, one is smartsheet.com. They produce template for you to bid on your job, or procore.com, right? For small construction company with less than $5 million in construction volume, you don't need that. And you just need this formula. You need to follow these 4 steps. So I'll explain that to you with an example, okay? And the job breakdown, that will give you the timeline, the material time, the labor time. So important. You, even if you don't use computer, you can draw on a piece of paper, knows that exactly when you need what kind of labor and what kind of material to do what, right? And the direct cost calculation, indirect cost calculation, and also profit intended. Profit intended, it is something that when I introduce my example, that's what I will introduce to you. Now let's look at my example here. I have built a house as an example. I know I am definitely not a construction. You know, as much as I have many real estate construction clients in our firm, you know, we don't, as accountant, we don't get into the hammers and nails. We don't really know exactly how they do their work. But from budgeting standpoint, from making a bid standpoint, we do know. And so the customer wants to build a home, ask you to provide a bid for building. To win the bid as a small construction company, you need to make small status as a selling point and draw value out of your existing operation. When I say that, and I know that we always, you know, I have clients who are hiding the value they think it is not desired by their customer. And for example, and we have, you know, we have a client and who are bidding a government contract. And when they were bidding the government contract, you know how the government contract has different categories of who they are. And, you know, if they're small business, minority owned business, and there's, you know, there's quota there to reward them. And these are the credentials that people easily recognize. They know that is advantage. But sometimes when we bid on private jobs, those credentials are not something the private company would value. And if you don't market it, and they would not see the value to it, they don't know, well, whether you speak Spanish or not, why do I care? I just want you to build a home. And you want to market, you know how you do that? Because you will say that my labor force and has a really efficient pay rate that will lower the payment I give to you, charges I give to you. My folks speaks multi-different languages, and we have that ability to work with them, communicate with my workforce efficiently. And if you look at other construction company and the foreman don't even speak Spanish, how do they communicate with people who work the job? So you find ways to market yourself really brilliantly. Okay. And I'm not a marketing major, so I don't have all the tools to offer you. But one of the marketing point Community CPA has is the language. And collectively, out of 30 some of us, we speak 9 different languages. And that is so amazing, right? You hear that, maybe it doesn't do anything to you because you speak English with me, I speak English with you. So it's not a benefit to you, but when I say that to you, don't you have the warm, fuzzy feelings and thinking that, wow, Ying, you are great because, you know, now I know that you are, you know, really open-minded and you think that those languages are just, they're valuable. That's the part of your value. Yes, it is part of our value. And we hear accent, we don't consider that's a liability. When we hear accent, we are excited because that is the value. That is who we work with. We understand the accent. We believe those are the people and will value us even more because we speak their language, right? It's kind of like our YouTube channel. We said that we speak your language. So finding your point of sale. So don't make small negative, make small positive. Don't make accent negative, make accent positive. And don't make inexperience of making the kitchen as a shortcoming. And say this, I did not do a kitchen before, and because this is my first project, so I am going to work with you and do everything on your case. So I will showcase what I did for you to my future client. Being my first job, you will get the best out of me because I will do it myself with my people. Okay, so market your small positively. And on top of that, you must know your bottom line. You must never try to be the lowest bid. You may end up to be the lowest, but that should not be your goal. You may end up just be the lowest because you're small, you don't have all these overhead, and you know, after you calculate, you're good. But don't make that your goal. The lowest is not necessarily the winner. You may bid really low, you got the job, then you can't finish. Or even if you finished, you don't have good feelings. And you know, I always believe that, especially if you're building a home, we don't want any builder to go to build a home and leave a negative feelings. No, I care about that. I really care about the sentiment of positive. So if I build something for myself, I make sure that builder who comes to build it will make money, will be positive. Otherwise, it's not going to work because you don't want to leave someone working at your home, working on your home, and then they lose money, right? It doesn't work that way. So you know that the good customer will think this way. And you only work for those good customers, you will find them. And you will articulate that. You will tell them that I make some money. I want you to know that I make money. But when I make that money, I work harder. And this is a good sentiment going on with building this building. And we win, you win. And as long as we stay within your budget. So is this within your budget? The answer will always be yes. Be aware of uncontrollable cost, especially after COVID. The material cost is becoming such a big deal for a construction company. And in your contract should always leave an open item on those uncontrollable costs. So now let's look at the example. The example is breaking down. So we're building this house. So your calculation includes direct cost and indirect cost and the total bid price. On that indirect cost, actually I should list the last line of the indirect cost as the intended profit. So let's just read this thing I put together. Breakdown by timeline. So the reason I say breakdown by timeline is because you need to order your material timely. In today's time, you want to order the material even before you begin the construction because it takes time. It might just come in when you needed it, so you need to consider the supply chain demand right now. And with the schedule, you know your labor, so you kind of can carve out for each month or for each week what you needed, right? Direct cost is so easy to understand. It is your material, it is your labor, but the next two items, I want you to always remember the ratio I put in there. And I'm not giving you a ratio that makes no sense. These are industry average ratio. You need to know. Workers' comp. Workers' comp insurance, that's a direct cost because as long as you have people working for you, it doesn't matter they're subcontractors or employees, you have workers' comp. That's 25% of your labor cost. In this example, the labor cost is $100,000. So you had a $25,000 on workers' comp a year. Okay, payroll taxes, that's 12%. I'm only counting on the employer side of the 12%. So you will do that 12,000. So these are real ratio. They're not a number I pull out of blue, okay? So you always will use this ratio to calculate your direct cost. So now you got your direct cost is 100,000 material, 100,000 labor, plus 25,000 plus 12,000. So we have 237,000 as a total, right? So that is your direct cost. You already have that. You know in your mind what that is. Now, let's calculate the indirect cost. Indirect costs are general liability insurance. You get that anyway, regardless you work or not, right? As a company. So you take 2% of your direct cost. And then admin support. I put in admin support 3% of your direct cost, and that is the industry average. That's the average we see on small businesses. Okay, so you do that. Your direct cost is what? Your direct cost you already calculated is 237,000. So 2% of that, 3% of that, and your intended profit, that is your final piece. That is not your indirect cost. You may be a larger company. You say, well, Ying, that's not all my indirect cost. I also have office rent. I also have, other things, I actually do. And then, I have a secretary. I pay 55,000 a year. So those are all your indirect costs. Then of course you would add that in and prorated that into this job, right? So after that, you intended profit. For construction, very often, I would not tell you this is industry average, but we have firms here in Iowa, Minnesota, and we have over 12,000 clients, and a lot of them are construction company. And I see a lot for the general contractor coming in and to put in 10% of direct cost. So what are the direct costs? We already calculated is $235,000, right? So that's what they will charge. They will charge you on a percentage of the cost. So that become their labor, the general contractor, you, business owner, managing the in and out and paying yourself, right? So this is intended profit. This is intended profit margin. This is where you have ability to maneuver, but not the other two categories. So once you know that, and you already know what you're gonna bid. So your bid price is $284,400 for this house. And once you have this number, you know how to go about to get it done. But I don't want you to not have this number and just go look for, from the sideways and figure out what is the lowest bid. Someone bid it for 180,000. Well, I must be able to do that. How could they bid for 180? I'll bid for 170. All wrong. We don't want you to do that. I want to tell you that as a small business owner, we do not want to do that to each other. And you can imagine that if we all go on to bid things unrealistically, then you become a competitor of another person. You bid for 180, already losing $100,000. Then you have another person come around bid 170. Do we still want to do business? No. So I want to say that in our business community, and we need to educate our business owner to bid for what you deserve, not bid on what other people hearsays. Well, that person bid a lot less. How did they do that? No, you just look at yourself. How did you do it? When I bid, I always look at my people. If my people has more skills, our salary benefit are more expensive, then our job is more expensive. If our people is lower skill and we have less benefit and we pay people minimum wage, then we will bid for lesser. So you want to make sure that as a business owner, you're firm and you know what you want. That is really much more important than you know how to add and subtract. All right, service company. Service company are professional firms like marketing firms, accounting firms, and the job agencies that you can bid successfully if you market your existence. Because service company, a lot of times people didn't know you exist. So you need to market your own existence. It takes Community CPA to be in existence for 20 some years. And until now, we start to feel the momentum. People knows Community CPA, and we're on website, we're on YouTube, and the people calling in, and we become that hub for knowledge. But it doesn't go without any work. We work 20 some years to get here, right? So you market your existence, be clear of your competency. We are a CPA firm. So you ask me, well, Ying, and I want to buy retirement funds. I want you to help me. And we're not financial planners. And we are tax planners. So you must define your competency and know exactly what you do the best, right? And separate your company from competitions by any means. If you're saying that, well, I give extreme example. If you want to separate your company from your competitors, you want to look different and you want to be acting different. Look different, maybe I look different. And if you look at this year's 2021 elite managing partner list, I am the only person who are minority. So the rest of them they're looking similar. They're really the majority. Okay, so you want to take advantage. I say advantage. That sounds really negative, but you want to be different. Whether you look different or you're gonna act different, and you want your company to be different too. People can easily remember you. Maybe you speak in accent language. Maybe your British accent is so cute, people remember you. I always remember people by their accent. And then, I grew up in Canada, and different accent is just a thing in Toronto. And I hear your accent, I know exactly where you come from. So I love the best accent I really like is British and Australian. I can tell the difference. So those are things separate you. Of course, I'm giving things that separate you. Kind of, you don't have a choice to pick it, but you can have a choice to pick it, right? You can make your company different. You can make your company focus on different things. So our company is different because we sponsor Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit together with Wells Fargo for what? 14 some years. So we're different, right? Finding ways to separate yourself. And don't chase every job. That's a repeat of the construction job, the construction advice we have earlier. So don't chase every job, really don't. And we don't. And we don't want small business owner to do that, because you want to really dive in the job the bid you put in, to not do a lot, hope to win one, but to do one and focus on that one. Okay. And then another thing I know I didn't write here, I'll tell you that you cannot rely on this one bid to survive. You have to have other things going on. And when you bid on the job, you always should imagine you didn't get it. Otherwise, you can't survive. Our small business, not like large business, we don't have a lot of saving behind us. If we don't have a job this month, we may not be able to do payroll next month for our folks, right? And if we're in this kind of situation, we can rely on something we don't know. So when you are bidding, that has to be your extra time, extra effort, should not be your bread and butter. They cannot be until you get that job. And highlight your qualifications, deliver value, embrace technology. Again, technology. And that is really, I would say that if you think Community CPA is successful, we are such a, we're addicted to technology. And that's everything I'm thinking about. Anything I could not do perfectly, I think of a machine. I think of a programming. I think of a way to do it, not manually, not with my hand, but with the computer. That's what you should do on the service company side. So here we are, bidding, service company bidding, component of job breakdown. For example, if you are putting a proposal to provide social media service for a company, and you want to break this down to what you want to do in terms of time, and is that a monthly or quarterly? And in terms of the activity itself, is that just for Facebook, or that also for Google ad? So what are you doing? So you really want to break it down by time, by product, then mix it. So you know that in one period of time, these are the things I offer you. So know what needs to be done and how long it would take to get done. So direct cost breakdown. And the system cost, subscription cost, that's typical for marketing company, because you would need the system, and you will subscribe to the system, subscribe to the advertising program. In order to do that for your client, you have a hard cost you have to be recovered from your client. And the payroll cost, if you have 4 staff members and $10,000 for a one period of time for this job, then you want to know exactly how much, how you're going to distribute the time of these staff. And the workers' comp again, but for marketing company professionals, we don't have 25%. We are lower. So that rate is 3%. That's a real rate. It's not a rate I'm making it up. Okay, that is the rate I see most often. And then the payroll tax rate is the same, 12%. So you calculate that, your direct cost, it is $16,500. What is your indirect cost? Your indirect cost, your general liability, professional liability insurance, of course. And for every professional company and service company, you need to buy that insurance. Then of course, admin support, depending on what people you have, that is the 3% intended profit. For service company, intended profit is 50%. That is the most intended profit, and we see most often. Okay, so of course, there's a service companies, they don't intend 50%, they did 25%, but those are purposefully put in there for you to realize how those companies are operating. So now the total bid price is $25,575. So I'll go around, present my bid. Maybe I am the lowest bid because my admin is so low. Okay, or maybe my program, it is the most lean. So my bid is low and the owner happened to like it. So I get this bid. Or maybe I am too high. But if I can break down, I can describe what I do, maybe my content will make the people feel that they need to hire me, even though my bid is high, but my program is so amazing. So this is where the service company, and you have a price, but you also have a program breakdown that need to be presented. Now, let's tackle our last one, which is bid on government job. Okay, for small business owners, you don't accidentally do business with government. You just don't. Nobody accidentally do business with government. And you all have to put in effort. It is a business decision that requires a lot of investment, time, and the money. So it is really a business decision. And a lot of times, I know that the government has all these programs. They're telling us, look at this number. I got it from the SBA site. It says that every year the government issue $500 billion in federal contracts. Okay. And of the $500 billion, $23 billion is allocated for small and disadvantaged businesses. Look at that. Okay. There's a lot of money for people like you and me. But you ask me, Ying, did you get any government contract? And so you are disadvantaged and you are small. And I'll tell you that I have, but I did not accidentally get into it because I worked the work. So you don't. So you have to make a business decision to decide whether this is something you want to do. And I will also tell you, when you are so new in business, you are not a candidate for government contract. Don't kidding yourself. Because they're asking a lot for you to get there. I'll show you what is a successful proposal for the government. Okay. And there is an opportunity to bid. But small business, you just began, you are not a candidate for it. I don't care how easy it looks like you're going to get it. It's not easy. You have to be able to survive without government contract before you can get into government contract. So here are some useful links. You can take a picture of that if you when we switch screen. But at the end of this webinar, I'm going onto those websites with you because I want to show you what they look like. And then you can go in to kind of figure out and then make a decision. Okay, you are my small business owners, and you don't accidentally get into government contract. You need to make a decision. And here, these are the SBA links, sba.gov link. It is really where they are kind of give you the guidance of how to win the contract. So they walk you through the steps. The USA.gov, that is one for you to get, I call that prerequisite, like you need to be ready first before you do. And I'll show you in next slides what you need to do to get ready. And there is a really interesting website. I actually come over here quite often because I just thought it's interesting, because under bidnet.com, and you can select your state and see all the federal government contracts in there. Okay, so you can tell what kind of contract. Don't say that government never have my kind of contract. Actually, the reason I say that to you is because I said that before. I used, so for a long time ago, when when the firm are just like 10 years old or so, and I say to other people that, oh, there is no contract for CPA firms like CPA firms. I thought there is no contract because I didn't know, like there's all kind of contract for CPA firms, but to qualify for that, it takes a step. So we actually qualify for some small contract and a very small one at the state level. And for the federal level, I am not even through the whole process. I'm still working on it. So that's why it is so meaningful to talk to you about what I am thinking, because I'm in your shoes. I am not anybody who are so superior, knows anything. I know what I know. I know how to start. So this is where I am leading you to. Working on government jobs, so you need to certify your business. I will not sugarcoat this process. It will take you minimum 6 months to a year to get there. But the starting point is this one, SAMS, sam.gov. And you need to start here. And I know when I say you start here, there's a whole bunch of things you need to do, but that's where you start. You certify your business, okay? And then once you certified, you qualified to bid, then you will write a proposal. So here are 3 things I want to mention to you about proposal. Okay, writing proposal is a professional job. If you are a small business and English is not your first language and you want to write a successful proposal, I'll tell you that forget it. Okay, you need to hire people to do it. And you can write a broken English proposal to get a government job. It just doesn't happen. All right, so you want to write a successful proposal, and there's 3 things in the proposal, and as a small business, we miss it most easily. I'll tell you why. Okay, there is a section C in the proposal. It makes you describe your scope of service. You know how they write what they need? The government will lay out what they need, and then you come over, take what they need, and write down the scope of services, that how you're going to execute that scope of service. And that write-up, it need to be articulated so clearly. And if there is a better technology for you, you chart it, you graphic it, and you make it easy to understand for people to see how you can accomplish that. That's a section C. Small business, a lot of times you don't have those technology tools. You don't graphic things properly. And then you miss out. You miss out the opportunity to describe yourself properly. And the instructions, I'll tell you, most of the people, when they do the first proposal to the government bid, they miss out instructions. What is that? That instructions is down to the margin of the paper, the font of the print, and how you seal the envelope, and the address on the left corner, not the right corner. Those are little things. If you don't think it's important, you are so wrong. It's very important. You need someone very dedicated to make sure every letter, everything is in the framework of the instructions. That's that. Evaluation. The evaluation is scorecard. You know, they tell you how they evaluate your proposal. Of course, budget details is important. Then that budget detail is what I was telling you, right? Direct and the indirect. And you see how I didn't put in the intended profit margin? Because you're supposed to include that in all your expense already. And you don't want to put out an item goes intended profit. No, for government bid job, you want all of your things to go into line item. And you want to cover your labor by the Department of Labor requirement. And for certain jobs, they require you to pay how much, then you want to know how much to pay. So there are already rooms for you to be able to get your profit margin. So the government contract will give you that room, and you need to make them into your line item. And it's definitely not called intended profit. Can be a management fee, can be the salary that you pay yourself, but it needs to be a cost item, right? And you can obtain history information about the same job and study the bid from the past for similar same job. You can request it. You can ask, okay, can I see your last year's audit? How much did you pay to the previous auditor? And if we bid for audit job, all right, same thing with you. So you can always ask the government agency to give you what was paid before. So that is a public information. Now, I know you're gonna ask me, okay, so we write proposal. So what are the strong characters for the proposal? So I went on to the government website, and I look at the requirement for the proposal by third parties and people who are specialized in this. And this is one of the website, and when they articulate what is the best proposal, and they give the following 6 items. So number 1, articulate clearly how you perform the work. You see how important that is. If digital copy is allowed, I would even put videos in there. So that is how important to articulate the scope of work. That's your number 1 item. And of course, provide evidence of core competency. You see that? And if you are a small business just starting, maybe your competency is not really presented yet. You maybe have a degree of graduation from the engineering school, but the evidence of core competency and that your performance need to come through. Okay, key personnel, who is on your team? That's important. Excellent past performance. This is your company finance. And you cannot be a shaky company to take a government job. They are worried about you not being able to sustain, then you're gonna let go of the job halfway. They want to see you are strong without that job, you see? So government bid is more like, I would call it icing on the cake. They're not your flour. They're not the cake itself. Of course, they can become a cake itself. Once you get into the government bidding, you're successful, you're getting it year after year, it's become your bread and butter. But in your first step to accomplish that, it has to be icing on the cake. So form strategic partners. What does that mean? Say you are in an accounting field like I am. And if I want to be an auditor for a large government agency, and with my firm's experience, we cannot do, because we don't have that many auditors, and we have never done an audit for a whole agency of a government entity. And then in that case, we need to form strategic partnership with larger CPA firm, KPMG, and have them be there and with you to do a job. Then you grow into that job. So that's what you will do too. So knowing that as a small business, we don't have to be all for everything. We don't have to be knowing exactly everything how to do, but we know how to form strategic partnership. There, we can fulfill the requirement and gain the competency. Then later on, with one project behind us, we can do another one, right? Ability to scale up. This is so important. What is that? Ability to scale means that you can expand your operation based on the government contract needs right away. And you won't delay the contract. You can do it. Do you? Do you have the ability to scale up? A lot of times, the ability to scale up is not about you be able to find 25 employees in one shot. Yeah, I have the ability to scale up. No, it is for you to have the system in place can manage the 25 employees. So this is where when you talk about scaling, we're not talking about you go out to hire more people. We're talking about you to have a system that could take on additional people, take on additional structure, take on additional work. So that's the scale. A lot of time, small business fail to scale because they don't have a system in place. Our community CPA, we care about the system. Remember I said I'm addicted to technology, and I'm literally I don't like technology, but I'm addicted to it because I hate it. It changes our life every day, all the time. It's growing too fast. Okay, so that's why I'm addicted to it, because without that technology, we cannot scale. I must have a system that can take 12,000 clients in order me to grow into a 12,000 client firm. If I don't have the system, I cannot go there. So in order us to grow to 120,000 clients firm, I must have a system that can take that kind of growth. That is the scale. That is where we talk about ability. So what ability do you have? Questioning yourself. So now let me wrap up what I said all this hour, okay? Basically, what I'm telling you is that bidding for a job, it is not about lowest price. Bidding for a job is to know your lowest bottom line. And by doing that, I told you the biggest concept is direct cost plus indirect cost plus intended profit. See, I want to put that intended profit in there for you because you might eat into that. Okay, so that is your bottom line. To know your price and bid for your price, then the rest of the job, you don't look. You don't care about what other people bidding. And the rest of the job for you is to market your company with the kind of character you have. And you are you. There are people who will just do that job with you. They don't care. So you need to have a confidence that you're different from others. Every small business must find their niche, however that is. Maybe your niche is to serve the seniors. Maybe your niche, maybe your construction company is niched in handicapped side of work, but find that niche. Don't bid on everything. That would be my one sentence advice for today. I hope you gained some insight from my point of view, just because I'm sitting in this very special chair and seeing all of your books, understand business owners struggle, and knowing how much desire. We want to take on government contract, right? They have 20-some billion set aside for people like you and me, but we can't get to it. And it is not a tomorrow's task. It is a decision you make today. It is a progress you make for the next year and a half. And then on the second year, you start to be ready for bidding. And I hope this offered some good insight. I am so glad that you are here. I got some really good comments here saying that, thank you, Ying, so informative. And I really appreciate your support. And without you, who am I talking to? I would not be so crazy and coming on 3 o'clock every Saturday. And thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed it, and talk about Community CPA with your friends and family and your other business affiliates. We're always ready for new clients, and we know that we provide value because we're so special. We speak your language. Bye-bye.